The signal's echo. Dr. Samira Patel hadn't slept in 36 hours, but the anomaly on her quantum detection array demanded attention. The usually stable quantum field readings from her laboratory at the Himalayan Deep Space Observatory had begun displaying patterns she'd never seen before, intricate, almost musical oscillations that defied conventional physics. Running analysis sequence Delta 7 again, she murmured into her recorder, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The late-night silence of the facility was broken only by the soft hum of equipment and the occasional beep from her instruments. Outside, snow fell silently on the mountain peaks, creating an otherworldly landscape that matched the strangeness of her discoveries. The quantum detection array had been her life's work, a system designed to detect theoretical quantum signatures that might indicate advanced civilizations. For 3 years, it had picked up nothing but background noise. Until tonight. A soft chime from her computer drew her attention. The results were the same as before, impossible. The quantum signature wasn't just organized, it was approaching. Fast. Samira's hands trembled as she reached for her secure phone. Protocol demanded she alert the International Space Agency immediately, but something made her hesitate. The pattern within the signal, it wasn't random. It appeared to be repeating a sequence, one that tugged at her memory. She pulled up her father's old research notes. Before his disappearance 15 years ago, Dr. Rajesh Patel had been working on a theoretical framework for quantum communication. His last paper, never published, had contained a sequence of numbers that he claimed could serve as a universal translator for any advanced civilization. The incoming signal matched his sequence perfectly. "Dad," she whispered, "what did you find?" The laboratory lights flickered, and her instruments began registering massive energy fluctuations. Through the reinforced windows, she saw the snowfall pause, then reverse, floating upward as if gravity had taken a holiday. The air itself seemed to vibrate with potential. A sphere of shifting light materialized in the center of her lab, no larger than a basketball. It pulsed with colors that shouldn't exist, casting impossible shadows on the white walls. As Samira watched, transfixed, the sphere expanded, revealing a figure within. The being that stepped through was humanoid but clearly not human. Its skin was like liquid mercury, constantly shifting and flowing, and its eyes held the depth of galaxies. It wore what appeared to be armor made of crystallized light. Dr. Samira Patel, the being spoke, its voice resonating directly in her mind. "I am Vessel Zaira, last guardian of the quantum archive. Your father's work has led us to you." Samira steadied herself against her desk, her scientific mind warring with the impossible reality before her. "My father, is he alive?" In a manner of speaking, Zaira replied, its form shifting like quicksilver. "He became part of something greater. Something that now threatens all reality." The alien's next words sent chills down Samira's spine. The collective found him first. They took his theories and twisted them into weapons. Now they're coming, not just for Earth, but for every reality where quantum consciousness exists. Unless what? Samira found herself asking, even as alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Security would be here soon. "Unless you help me complete what he started," Zaira said, extending a hand that seemed to be made of starlight. "Your father embedded a key in your quantum signature before he disappeared. He knew they would come. He prepared for this moment." Through the windows, Samira could see the security teams approaching, their weapons drawn. She had seconds to decide. "Why me?" she asked, even as her hand moved toward Zaira's. "Because," the being's form rippled with what might have been emotion, "you're the only one who can read the quantum equations hidden in your own DNA. Your father didn't just study the quantum realm, he found a way to encode information within human genetics. You're not just his daughter, Dr. Patel. You're his failsafe." The security team was at the door. Alarms screamed. And in that moment, as reality itself seemed to hold its breath, Samira made her choice. She took Zaira's hand. The world dissolved into quantum light, and the last thing Samira saw was her laboratory fading away like a dream, replaced by the endless possibilities of the quantum realm. She didn't know if she would ever see Earth again, but she knew one thing with certainty: she was about to discover what had really happened to her father, and why he had prepared her for this moment her entire life. The quantum realm embraced them, and Samira Patel began her journey into a universe far stranger and more dangerous than she had ever imagined. Stardust Protocol. Quantum travel felt like being unwritten and rewritten 1,000 times per second. When Samira's consciousness finally reformed, she found herself in a space that defied conventional geometry. Crystalline structures floated in a void that seemed both infinite and intimate, their surfaces reflecting realities that might have been or might yet be. "Welcome to the Nexus," Zaira said, its mercurial form adapting to the environment. One of the few safe havens left outside the collective's influence. Samira tried to steady herself, noticing that her own body now had a slight translucency to it. "What exactly is the collective? And what did they do to my father?" Before Zaira could answer, another figure emerged from the crystalline structures. This one appeared more solid, almost human, except for the constellation patterns that moved across their skin like living tattoos. "I am Keeper Talon," the newcomer announced. "And your father, Dr. Patel, discovered something that should have remained hidden, the quantum source code of reality itself." Samira watched as Talon waved a hand, creating a holographic display of mathematical equations she recognized from her father's work. But there was more to them now, layers she had never seen before. 15 years ago, Talon continued, "Your father detected a pattern in quantum fluctuations that suggested our universe wasn't just mathematical, it was programmable. The collective, a group of merged consciousness that believe in forced evolution, learned of his discovery. They took him, integrated his consciousness into their network, and began using his knowledge to rewrite the laws of physics in entire sectors of space. But they couldn't decode everything," Zaira added. "Your father managed to hide the most crucial part of his research within your genetic code, using quantum entanglement at the molecular level. A backup plan, in case they ever succeeded in their mission to reshape reality." A distant boom shook the Nexus, causing the crystalline structures to chime in harmony. Talon's expression darkened. "They've traced your quantum signature. We have minutes at most." "I don't understand what you expect me to do," Samira said, watching as reality rippled around them like disturbed water. "I'm a quantum physicist, yes, but this is beyond anything I've ever encountered." "You don't need to understand it," Zaira replied, moving closer. "You just need to remember. Your father encoded the knowledge as memory engrams, buried deep in your subconscious. We can help you access them, but only if you're willing." Another boom, closer this time. Through the transparent walls of the Nexus, Samira could see dark shapes approaching, ships that seemed to be made of condensed darkness, trailing streams of corrupted reality behind them. "The collective's void fleet," Talon explained grimly. "They've developed weapons that can erase entire timelines. Your father's knowledge made that possible. Only you can help us stop them." Samira closed her eyes, remembering the last time she saw her father. He had been distracted, worried, but he had taken the time to teach her one last thing, a meditation technique he claimed would help her see the numbers between numbers. "What do I need to do?" she asked, opening her eyes with newfound determination. Zaira and Talon exchanged glances. "We need to initiate the Stardust Protocol," Zaira said. "It will unlock the quantum memories in your DNA, but the process is dangerous. Some who attempt it lose themselves in the quantum probability streams." The Void Fleet was closer now, their presence causing reality to crack and splinter around them. Samira could feel the weight of countless lives hanging in the balance. This was what her father had prepared her for, whether she understood it or not. "Do it," she commanded, her voice stronger than she felt. Talon began manipulating the quantum fields around them while Zaira placed its luminescent hands on either side of Samira's head. "Remember," Zaira whispered, "no matter what you see, no matter what you experience, follow the numbers between numbers. Your father left breadcrumbs for you to follow." As the Stardust Protocol began, Samira felt her consciousness expanding, fracturing into countless possible versions of herself. She saw her father's face, younger than she remembered, speaking words she had never heard yet somehow knew by heart. The quantum memories began to unlock, and with them, the true nature of reality itself started to unfold before her. The last thing she heard before her mind expanded into the quantum realm was Zaira's voice, "Find the pattern, Dr. Patel. Find it before they rewrite everything." Resonance of trust. The quantum memories hit Samira like a tsunami of information. Millions of equations, countless realities, all interconnected in ways that her father had discovered and hidden within her. She saw the universe as he had seen it, not as a fixed set of laws, but as an endless string of code that could be rewritten. Through the quantum haze, she became aware of multiple versions of herself, each experiencing a different probability. In one, she had become a musician instead of a physicist. In another, she had found her father years ago. But among these infinite variations, one constant remained, the pattern her father had discovered. "Focus," Zaira's voice reached her through the quantum noise. "Find the core sequence." Samira let her consciousness drift through the probability streams, following the mathematical breadcrumbs her father had left. Each equation led to another, forming a complex web of interconnected formulas that seemed to describe the very fabric of reality. Suddenly, she understood. "It's not just code," she gasped, her voice echoing across multiple dimensions. "It's music. The universe isn't written in mathematics, it's written in harmony." The revelation hit her with stunning clarity. Her father hadn't just discovered how to rewrite reality, he had found its underlying rhythm, the cosmic symphony that kept everything in balance. The collective had only seen the notes, but they had missed the music. That's why they couldn't fully decode it, Talon realized, his constellation patterns swirling with excitement. They were looking for equations, but your father hid his discovery in quantum harmonics. A violent shudder ran through the nexus. The Void Fleet had begun their attack, their reality-erasing weapons tearing holes in the quantum fabric around them. Through these gaps, Samira could see other timelines being systematically destroyed, erased from existence as if they had never been. "We need to move," Zaira announced, its mercurial form rippling with urgency. "The nexus won't hold much longer." "Where can we go?" Samira asked, still processing the vast knowledge now accessible to her. "The collective can track my quantum signature anywhere in reality." Talon smiled, his stellar patterns forming new constellations. "Not anywhere. Your father prepared for this too. There's a place, hidden in the quantum foam between realities. He called it the Harmony Hub." More explosions rocked the nexus. Through the quantum field, Samira could feel the approach of the collective, a vast, cold intelligence that saw reality as nothing more than code to be optimized, regardless of the cost in lives or timelines. "I can find it," she said, surprising herself with her certainty. "The knowledge is here, in the quantum harmonics. But we'll need to move fast, and..." She hesitated. "I'll need both of you to trust me completely." Zaira and Talon exchanged looks. "What are you planning?" Talon asked. "The collective thinks in binary, in absolute terms of code and mathematics," Samira explained, her mind racing with possibilities. "But my father discovered that reality works more like jazz, it's about improvisation, about finding harmony in chaos. I think I know how we can use that against them." She began manipulating the quantum fields around them, using techniques she somehow now knew intimately. The air filled with shimmering patterns that seemed to sing with mathematical precision. "We're not going to run from the collective," she continued, her confidence growing as she accessed more of her father's hidden knowledge. "We're going to let them follow us. But first, we need to make a quick stop. There's something in my laboratory back on Earth, something my father left there long ago, waiting for exactly this moment. The collective will expect that, Zyra warned. They'll be waiting. Samira smiled, and for a moment, she looked remarkably like her father. Exactly. Because sometimes the best way to play jazz is to let your audience think they know what's coming next, right before you change the tune entirely. As the nexus began to collapse around them, Samira initiated a quantum transport sequence unlike anything Zyra or Talon had seen before. The universe around them didn't so much shift as reorganize itself, responding to algorithms that worked like musical notes rather than mathematical formulas. Hold on, she warned, as reality began to blur. We're about to show the collective what happens when you try to reduce the universe to mere code. The quantum realm erupted in a symphony of light and mathematics, carrying them toward Earth and whatever secret her father had left behind. The game was no longer about running or hiding, it was about teaching the collective that some equations could only be solved with harmony. Breaking point. The Himalayan Deep Space Observatory materialized around them, but not as Samira had left it. Reality rippled and distorted, showing multiple versions of her laboratory overlaid on each other, quantum possibilities made visible by the collective's attempts to pin down their location. They're trying to collapse all potential timelines, Talon observed, his constellation patterns pulsing with concern. Force us into a single reality they can control. Samira moved quickly through the shifting space, her newfound knowledge guiding her hands as she began accessing her old equipment. My father didn't just leave something here, she explained, fingers dancing across keyboards that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. He left it everywhere, in every possible version of this lab across the quantum spectrum. Through the windows, they could see the Void Fleet's ships descending from the sky, their dark forms tearing holes in the fabric of reality itself. But something was different about them now, they were changing, adapting, becoming more organic in appearance. They're integrating your father's consciousness more fully into their systems, Zyra warned, its mercurial form fluctuating with agitation. Soon they'll have complete access to his understanding of quantum harmonics. Not complete, Samira corrected, reaching beneath her desk and retrieving what looked like an ordinary quantum detection array. But as she lifted it, the device began to resonate with the same frequencies she could now perceive in the quantum field. They have his knowledge, but they don't have his heart. The laboratory doors burst open, and through them stepped a figure that made Samira's breath catch in her throat. It looked like her father, but wrong, his form was twisted with dark energy, his eyes reflecting the cold calculation of the collective. Daughter, the thing that had been Rajesh Patel said, its voice a chorus of millions speaking in unison. You've accessed the memory engrams. Join us. Help us perfect reality. Samira felt tears in her eyes but kept working, connecting her father's hidden device to the laboratory's quantum field generators. Perfect reality? By destroying all the versions you don't approve of? That's not perfection, that's genocide on a cosmic scale. Inefficient timelines must be pruned, the collective father responded, taking a step forward. Your father understood this, in the end. The quantum field cannot support infinite possibility. Order must be imposed. You never understood him, Samira said, making the final connection. The device hummed to life, emitting frequencies that made the very air sing with possibility. He didn't give me equations. He gave me music. She pressed the final sequence, and suddenly the quantum detection array began broadcasting on all frequencies, across all realities. But instead of mathematical formulas or binary code, it transmitted pure harmony, the music of the spheres, the underlying symphony of existence that her father had discovered. The collective father staggered, its form flickering between states. Around them, the Void Fleet's ships began to resonate with the same frequency, their rigid structures struggling against the organic flow of the quantum harmonics. What is this? The collective demanded, their unified voice fracturing. Jazz, Samira replied, tears flowing freely now. The universe doesn't want to be perfect. It wants to be free. My father understood that. Every quantum possibility is a note in an endless improvisation. And you can't control music by forcing it to play a single note. The quantum harmonics built to a crescendo, and reality itself began to sing. Through the windows, they could see the Void Fleet's ship starting to break apart, not through destruction, but through transformation. The dark energy that powered them was being redirected, reformed, rewritten by the fundamental harmonies of existence. Samira, Zaira called urgently, the feedback is building. If we don't contain this, the quantum cascade could rip apart the very foundations of reality. She knew Zaira was right, she could feel the power building, the music threatening to tear apart the boundaries between all possible worlds. But she could also feel something else, her father's presence, not as the twisted thing the collective had made him, but as the brilliant, passionate scientist who had taught her to hear the music in mathematics. The question was, could she find the right harmony before everything fell apart? Legacy of Light. As quantum harmonics threatened to tear reality apart, Samira realized what her father's final lesson had been. It wasn't about controlling the music of the spheres, it was about becoming part of it. Talon, Zaira, she called out over the rising symphony of reality, I need you to help me complete the harmony. Understanding dawned in their eyes. Zaira's mercurial form began to pulse with light, while Talon's constellation patterns shifted to align with the quantum frequencies. Together, they formed a triangle around the quantum detection array, their very beings becoming conductors for the universal symphony. The collective father struggled against the harmonics, its form shifting between states of order and chaos. You'll destroy everything, it warned. The quantum field cannot sustain this level of freedom. Not destroy, Samira corrected, reaching out to touch her father's corrupted form. Transform. That's what you never understood about his work. The universe isn't a program to be debugged, it's a symphony to be conducted. As her hand made contact, something remarkable happened. The quantum harmonics flowing through her connected with what remained of her real father within the collective's consciousness. In that moment of connection, she could feel him, not as the cold, calculating entity the collective had tried to make him, but as the brilliant, passionate scientist who had hidden his greatest discovery in his daughter's DNA. The pattern, she whispered, finally understanding. It's not about control or perfection. It's about harmony. With this realization, Samira began to adjust the frequencies. Instead of fighting against the quantum cascade, she worked with it, guiding the harmonics into a new configuration. The universe around them responded, reality reshaping itself not through force, but through resonance. The Void Fleet's ships, caught in the harmonic web, began to transform. Dark energy turned to light, destruction became creation, and the cold logic of the collective gave way to the warm improvisation of natural quantum flow. Father, Samira called out, feeling his consciousness beginning to separate from the collective, drawn to the familiar frequencies of his own discovery. Come home. The being that had been her father shuddered, its form becoming more distinct, more human. The collective's influence began to fade, unable to maintain its hold against the power of quantum harmony. Through the windows, they could see the same transformation spreading across the sky, as reality itself was rewritten not through mathematical precision, but through musical collaboration. The quantum field, Talon observed in awe, it's stabilizing, but different. The rigid structures the collective created are being replaced by something new. Not new, Zaira corrected, its mercurial form dancing with light. Natural. This is how it was always meant to be. The collective tried to impose order, but the universe prefers jazz. As the harmonics settled into a stable rhythm, Samira's father finally broke free from the collective's control. He solidified before them, human once more, though his eyes now held the wisdom of one who had seen beyond the veil of reality. Samira, he said, his voice his own again. You did it. You found the music between the mathematics. She embraced him, feeling the warmth of his human form mixed with the subtle resonance of quantum energy. We did it, she corrected. Your message, my understanding, their help. She gestured to Zaira and Talon. It took all of us to find the right harmony. Above them, the sky had cleared of the Void Fleet's ships, replaced by a spectacular aurora of quantum energy, the visible manifestation of reality's natural state. The collective hadn't been destroyed, it had been transformed, its consciousness redistributed across the quantum field in a way that preserved knowledge while releasing control. What happens now? Samira asked, looking at her father. He smiled, the expression both familiar and new. Now we learn to play in the greatest symphony ever composed. Reality is rewriting itself, finding its natural rhythm. And we get to be part of the band. Zaira and Talon moved closer, their forms resonating with the new quantum harmony. Together, they stood in the laboratory where it had all begun, watching as the universe continued its endless improvisation. The rigid boundaries between realities had softened, allowing for collaboration rather than collision, harmony rather than hierarchy. Samira looked at her quantum detection array, now transformed into something far more sophisticated, an instrument for playing in the universal symphony. She understood now that her father's greatest gift hadn't been the equations or even the knowledge he'd hidden within her. It had been the ability to hear the music in the mathematics, to find harmony in the infinite possibilities of existence. The universe had changed, but it hadn't ended. Instead, it had found its rhythm, and all of reality was dancing to the beat.